Hey y'all, so this video is the introduction to witness consciousness, which I was supposed to do yesterday, but I'm doing now, and that's okay. So I'm going to be looking over my notes quite a bit. So this is the first day of Witness Consciousness Week, and I think that's an appropriate thing to do, is to discuss what witness consciousness is. We've been discussing it a lot, or aspects of it in different ways, but we're going to kind of put it together in a different way today. And that is that witness consciousness is you watching what's going on in the moment, inside of you and outside of you, not judging it, accepting it, and not getting caught up in it. And that's what witness consciousness is. And it will help you live a better life, because you won't be reacting out of your thoughts or feelings. You'll be acknowledging them and allowing them and enjoying them. But when you act, it won't be a reaction, and it'll be a smarter thing to do. You'll just be smarter. So I think that, oh man, one of the things that we have to, we'll go into more detail about this stuff later, but sort of in the way when we were talking about self-awareness last month, and we were discussing the self, and, you know, we discussed the self as what it is and the self as what it's not. And, you know, witness consciousness it's very similar. You know, we're looking out. So what is it that we're witnessing, really, I guess is what I'm getting at. And there are three things, basically. And this is, I'm leaning a lot on Michael Singer right now, it's just so you know. So there's the world, there's our mind, and there's our heart. And the key there is, like, things are happening in all three of those things all the time, and none of it is us, and none of it actually has to do with us, which is interesting, because you're like, but my heart and my mind has to do with me, and it doesn't. But that's okay. So when I say world, we're talking about form, like the universe, the kind of the dimension of form. It has existed for billions and billions of years before you, and it will exist for billions and billions of years after you. It has nothing to do with you. The only thing that you have to do with it is that you get to see this unfathomably minuscule part of it. It's that you don't get to see much. Like, I look over here, I get to see this tree, you know, like there's everything else I'm not seeing. And that's the only thing that it has to do with. You have to do with it. It doesn't have to do with you. This is the only thing that belongs to you this moment right now, that you know you're witnessing. The only thing that belongs to me right now is this moment in front of me that I'm witnessing. So I'm part of it. But it has nothing to do with me. It's just a thought in my head. Hopefully it'll come back, because it was intelligent and interesting. One other thing that we perceive and we witness is our mind. Our mind, so when we look outside, we see the world. When we look inside, we see and perceive our mind. You can't perceive it with your senses, right? Because the only thing that you can really perceive with your senses is in the world of form. But the mind is much easier to get caught up in than the universe, like the world of form, because it's constant. It's in there, and it just keeps going. And it's really hard not to listen to it and not to get caught up in it. One of the things Michael Singer talks about is that, like, there's that whole analogy of you can't see the forest for the trees, and with the mind, it's like you can't see the mind for the thoughts. We're too caught up in the thoughts to see what is actually creating them. Another analogy he gives is like you can see a star from far away. You can even see the sun and see it as a star. But if you were in the sun, you wouldn't see the star. All you would see is like hot flames burning, terribleness. Well, not terribleness, but you wouldn't survive. But anyway, you wouldn't see that it's a sun. You would just be burned. Whereas the mind is actually more like the ocean, and our thoughts are more like waves. And if we can kind of take ourselves out of that, so we're not drowning in the ocean, we can step back and we can see and have a much more objective viewpoint. And the other thing about the mind is that it is programmable. And we'll get into this more later this week, but it has nothing to do with you. Your mind is just kind of made up of a bunch of information that's been put into your brain. The heart is similar. It is distinct from thought, but they influence each other quite a bit. And our heart really determines where we go. We can think with our mind all we want, but our heart also makes the decisions. Let's be honest. We've kind of been taught to try and ignore our hearts and believe that our minds can take us to where we want to go. But it's always going to be the heart that does the driving, unless you can step back and see what's going on and actually see what's happening. And the thing about the heart too is that it is also programmable, so it actually doesn't have to do with us. It's just a field, like the mind is a field where thoughts form. The heart is a field that's just energy where emotions are, where emotions form. So the big thing between the three of these, the thing that the three of them have in common, is that they are not us and they do not have to do with us. We are the witnesses of them. We are, we need to remember that, because we need to remember not to lean into or onto things that are not us or don't have to do with us, right? It is important to be able to lean into the self and lean into life, right? And how you do that, you're in the moment, right? In order to watch all this stuff, in order to be you, we're always us. We're always us, whether or not we recognize it or realize it. But rather than being caught in it, in order to be not caught up in mind and thought and even world, which is an interesting thing that we'll discuss later on this week. We need to be in the moment. We need to be observing what's going on in the moment. These things, they come and they go. A thought comes, the thought goes. A feeling comes, the feeling goes. Like something in the world comes, like I hear the beautiful bird song, and it comes and it goes. It's all there, and we are there through it, whether or not it's there. So we're just watching it. So there are a couple of things that as we witness ourselves, we recognize. The first kind of level is that we recognize that we are in here, right? Like I am myself and I am in here. The next thing you kind of realize is that you're not doing great. You're scared. Honestly, look, a lot of life, there's hurt and there's pain, and I'll speak for myself, and I can tend to ruminate and bathe in it, and we keep bringing, I know we all do this, we keep bringing up things that happened yesterday, years ago, like I was talking about it this morning. Kept bringing it up, and actually I should probably do a different video on this, but I'm going to do another video talking about that, because it very much has to do with this topic. So we realize we're in here, and we realize that being in here is scary, and I don't want to be scared my entire life, and I have been. So I'd rather not do that. So what the third thing is that we realize is that we're trying to fix it. There's this urge to fix it. And the first place people most usually go is to the outside, to try and fix the outside. in which case they are ignoring and rejecting the moment, which is like number one, the furthest thing from living your life you can be, and number two, it's you're giving up your choice, because there's no, you can't affect the shit that's out there. You can only deal with yourself. You can only work on yourself, right? So you can't, if you're trying to fix the outside, you're actually giving up the choice to do anything about it. The other thing you can do, which is something that I do a lot of, is to try and fix the inside. So we're trying to control our mind. We're trying not to feel this, you know, but it's the same thing. It's still trying to fix the problem. Whereas the third thing that we can do is to sit there and watch our urge to fix it. One of the things Michael Singer kind of talks about is the urge to fix stuff is kind of like, it's this energy that kind of wells up behind the disturbance. So what we're trying to fix is a disturbance, whether it's an emotion, it's generally an emotion, whatever it is that's causing us to feel bad, us to feel uncomfortable. We're trying to fix it, make it so the world isn't making us feel that way, right? Like, I mean, usually we go out into the world and we want people to apologize for something they've said, or, you know, to do this or to do that. We're trying to control it so that it is the way we think we need it to be to feel better. That's ridiculous for so many reasons, and it's like a whole month of conversation right there. But when you sit and you watch the urge to fix it, it's this energy that wells up behind the disturbance that's being caused, and excuse me, and it's seeking a release. It's sort of like when you have an itch and the urge to scratch it, like, which is worse, right? Like the itch, or like I need to scratch that feeling, you know what I mean? Like I need to get, you know what I'm talking about, itches and scratches. That's what it's like. So instead of scratching, we watch the urge to scratch. So meaning we transcend the need to fix it. Excuse me. Ooh. Oh, I'm tired. I didn't sleep well last night. So in order to do this, we have to understand that the mind and the heart will react. The mind will create thoughts, the heart will create feelings, and we have to be okay with that. You know, you just need to observe it. And you can do that no matter what your mind says, so long as you stop going to your mind, which is something I'm learning about in the gym. It's like, okay, mind, you can say whatever you want, but we're gonna go do this. And the way to really do this, I mean, this is really about choosing what you want to do. Like, okay, I want to fix this stuff. I have this urge to fix. What is my choice here? What do I want to do with it? What do I want to do with my life, right? What this moment, as we've been discussing, is the only time life happens, right? So what do I want to do with that? Do I want to ignore it? Do I want not to observe it? Do I want to go somewhere else? Do I want to go to my mind? Do I want to go to my heart? Do I want to just disappear? Like, you can choose to do any of those things, and you only get one choice, though, and that's what you chose to do with it. So, the thing that is probably the smartest thing to do is to lean into the moment and observe what's there, but not just observe what's there, but like love what's there, even if it's sadness. One of the things that Michael Singer says in this is like, who was it? He was talking about some teacher who talked about when his spouse died, his wife died, how sad he was, but it was like this beautiful sadness that welled up and inside of him, and you know, he was one of his like most creative periods of his life, you know, where he was creating all these different things, but you know, not to push it away, to embrace it, because that's what life is, and that's a different conversation about the heart. But you have to lean into it and accept it all. And the way you do that is to observe it in the moment. And like, it's not going to happen right away. Like, are you capable of not going to the mind? No. Your mind is too active, and it's going to react immediately to whatever's going on. Same thing with your heart. You just have to be willing to be present. And that's where it starts. And that's something that I'm working on right now too. So I'm going to wrap this up because it's a 15-minute video. And I'll talk more about how this personally relates to me later. Anywho, thank you guys. I'm obviously very tired. I don't know. I'm feeling very irritated, but that's okay. We'll talk about that later. So I'm grateful to you guys. And I just want to remember that even if you're like, wait, what do I do with this moment? I don't want to be here, but I kind of want to be here. Whatever the case may be, you can always choose to have a grateful day.